Hey everybody, and welcome to my channel. My name is Noah Kellman, and I'm here to teach you literally everything that I know about modern improvised piano, whether it's jazz, neo-soul, neo-jazz, whatever it is, I am here and we are working on it every single week, if not more. So, if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss any more videos just like this one. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about tendonitis, arm problems, and just overall physical issues and posture at the piano. So I had quite a ridiculous journey when it comes to this stuff. I actually have a nerve condition that makes it so that my muscles are never completely at rest. So when you're actually just sitting down and doing nothing, your muscles are recovering. My muscles are actually not really recovering. They're actually twitching at a very, minuscule level. Of course, that's my non-medical version of how I understand what's happening. But the point being, for me, I have to be even more careful with all this stuff because I don't get that really great muscle recovery that the average person and probably you actually get. Now, I've had so many people ask me about arm problems. People come to me and say, hey, have you ever experienced this? And the answer is yes, I really have, and I do have some tips that I think could be really helpful for everybody, and so I'm excited to share these with you today. I actually experienced an entire year where I quite literally could not play the piano at all. In fact, my pain was so bad at one point that my parents had to come into my room in the morning and help me get dressed for school. That's actually how bad it was. So I literally thought I was going to be quitting the piano at that point and that I wasn't going to get better. So I went on a really long and arduous journey to figure out what the best ways are of combating physical issues that result from playing our instrument. I think it's really important to understand that when we play an instrument, we are athletes. Okay, it's no different than going to the gym or being on a sports team. We are really pushing our muscles to the max, pushing our technique to the max so that we can experience the best possible gains just like any other athlete would. And to do that, we have to do it in a healthy way. Now, as usual, I like to break things down into a nice cohesive structure so that you can really absorb all the information and refer back to it when you really need it. So today's video is going to be kind of a breakdown into bite-sized pieces of exactly what I would recommend that you do to make sure that you never have these problems, or if you do have these problems, actually get over them. Get over your tendonitis or carpal tunnel or whatever may be holding you back from playing your instrument to the best possible potential that you have. Now, one important disclaimer, of course, I am not a medical professional. I have my own, body, my own issues that I've had, so I cannot speak exactly directly to all of your issues, but this is, what I would recommend, what my journey was. So take it as you will. Of course, speak to a physical therapist or doctor before you simply do what I recommend today. But this is, again, my journey and what I would personally recommend based on my own experience. All right, so if there was one thing that I could recommend that you do to make sure that A, you never have these problems, or if you do already have them, get rid of them, it is actually work out. And this sounds silly, but I don't mean work out your arms. I don't mean do, exercises to strengthen your forearms. In fact, I think that can be detrimental. What I mean is work out and strengthen your core and work out and strengthen your upper body. This was always just incredible for me, but I remember the moment I started actually learning about going to the gym and truly working out, building up the muscle, which unfortunately is a little bit negligible, but building up some strength in my upper body legitimately, I started to see significant improvement like I never had before. And it started to become more and more difficult for me to actually feel pain. I think what starts to happen is that the stronger you make your body, in your entire body, your core, and especially your upper body, back, and arms, the longer it takes for you to hurt yourself, the more of a threshold you have for actually relieving the pressure and tension that would be on your arms. So I think a tendency that many of us musicians have, and this is what I was like when I was younger, I was super skinny. All I did was practice, and I didn't really worry about working out. So I was really skinny and honestly just thin and weak, but my forearms were probably the most robust, muscle in my body. But that being the case, that meant that so much of the strength that should have been coming from the rest of my body to relieve tension on my arms was all just going on my arms. So that actually can create so many problems. So again, Step one, start building up the rest of your body. Get as strong as you can, honestly, and I think you'll start to see some amazing improvements. Number two is always warm up. No matter what you're doing, no matter how long it's been since you last played, make sure that you are warmed up. If you step away from the piano for, even 20 to 30 minutes, before you get back into it, don't just dive right into hardcore technical exercises or playing something that pushes your technique to the max. Make sure that you are warm. Play a few things that are easier on your muscles, that don't really strain your technique, just to make sure that you're really warmed up. Again, we are athletes. So, let's say you're playing soccer. If you go off the field and you just sit on the sideline for 30 minutes, your muscles are going to actually tense up a bit. They're going to get a little tighter, right? So you don't want to just go right back out there and start sprinting. You want to warm up a bit again. If it's your first playing of the day, of course, spend a good amount of time warming up. I would recommend at least 20 minutes, honestly. And I think you will actually get a sense for when you really feel warm and ready to push yourself to the max. Number three, of course, make sure that you are using good posture. So I've studied several postural techniques. I studied with an absolutely incredible teacher named Sophia Rosoff, and she taught me some wonderful techniques. Now, of course, I'll never be able to replicate those lessons and that time I spent with her, but one thing that really just stuck in my memory was this exercise. She had me put my hands together like this, right? Fingers crossed, and reach for the lowest note on the piano, or the lowest black note on the piano actually, and then the highest black note on the piano, right? So you could do maybe even like a B flat and a B flat. When I first did it, this is kind of what I did. Kind of like this, right? Very uncomfortable. The point of this exercise was we want to use our whole body. So you keep your feet planted on the ground, but then use your whole torso to bring yourself down and to bring yourself up. And that is how we should be when we're actually playing, right? We bring ourselves down, we bring ourselves up to where our hands need to be. We don't reach with our arms, we bring our body so that our arms are actually doing as little effort as possible and always have the support they need. So I highly recommend that if you have never really managed your posture before, you check out some different techniques. For example, the Alexander technique is another one that I studied that I would highly recommend. After just one single Alexander technique session, I felt like suddenly I could play significantly faster because so much of the tension in my body was actually preventing me from being able to play fast. So you might actually be amazed at how much better your technique gets just from an hour of studying this stuff. All right, now I'm getting a little bit more detailed into real tendonitis prevention and also just getting rid of it. So another thing that made a huge difference for me was, believe it or not, diet. So literally what you are eating. So the way our food is these days, there are so many elements that can cause inflammation. I'm not a nutritionist. Again, I can't recommend exactly what's best for you, but some things that I've learned are that, eating a lot of animal products is going to way heighten the inflammation in your body. Also, eating a lot of sugar, and it's tough for me because I have a horrible sweet tooth, but eating a lot of sugar also is going to heighten the amount of inflammation in your body. So the more you can limit animal products and eat more plants, more plant-based, and the more you can limit your sugar intake, the less inflammation you're actually going to have in your body. And believe it or not, for me, I can literally feel the difference. I actually feel like when I limit my intake of those two different categories, I can literally play better, faster. I feel more limber, and just my whole body feels better, honestly. So, obviously you don't have to do all of these things. Take them each for what you will, but that's something that really helped me personally. Next up, stretching. This is really important, especially if you're someone who hasn't done much stretching. Always stretch after you warm up. So warm up nice and slow. It's so easy to make the mistake of just right before you play, before you warm up anything, just get in there and do some really intense stretches. Well, you could actually be doing more harm than good. Better to instead take it really slow, warm up, and then once you're warm, then you could do some nice stretching. And be careful, you don't have to push yourself with stretching, right? Get a nice stretch, but don't push yourself to the max. You're not trying to have the most incredible elasticity that there ever was. You're just trying to make sure that your muscles are limber and primed and healthy. Now, finally, this is a really tough one, but this one made a huge difference for me. This is actually, again, one of those key factors in preventing tendonitis, carpal tunnel, even joint pain and just arm problems for me in general. Use your phone less or even as little as possible. I find that on days when I use my phone a lot, when I'm on there, whether it's on social media or texting or whatever it is, I start to develop those symptoms again of arm pain, tendonitis, carpal tunnel, all of those things, they start to develop again for me the more I use my phone. And on days when I hardly use my phone, I almost forget that I had those problems sometimes. So just think about it, when you're practicing, again, you're an athlete using your fingers and your arms and all the tendons and muscles in there a ton more than the average person. So if you're doing all of that and then using your arms for all sorts of things all day long on your phone, texting, or on an iPad or on the computer, whatever it is, it adds up. It's a lot to be using your arms for. So if you want to be practicing 4 hours a day, try to limit how much time you're spending using your arms for other things. And just like any muscle in your body, give your arms a break. So I don't know if you're starting to really see the full picture here, but what it comes down to in the end is just that, a full picture. Doing just one of these things may not solve your problem. For me, what was required to stay as physically fit and healthy, literally for my arms and as a musician, meant doing all of these things. Limit phone use, give your arms breaks, make sure you warm up before each playing session, then stretch. Make sure that the rest of your body is healthy and strong, and eat a good anti-inflammatory diet. Another really important one is get as much sleep as you can. Honestly, it's being proven more and more, to my knowledge, again, based on all the podcasts and YouTube videos that I personally love to watch. But sleep is so important, and the more sleep you can get, honestly, it sounds like, in many ways, the more healthy you are going to be, the more primed you are going to be for when you are, spending your waking hours working or trying to improve. So anyway, that is what ended up working for me after years and years and years of trying to figure this stuff out. Finally, just now am I able to actually live more comfortably. All right, everybody. Well, I really hope that this is helpful for you. Of course, this is just my journey, but this is really the system that ended up making all the difference for me and making it so that I can actually play for, hours a day again without having any ridiculous problems. If you've ever had any problems like this, please let me know in the comments, and let me know if you have any of your own tips or specific postural techniques that you work on, anything like that. I would love to keep this conversation going because I think it's so important for all of us that we consider the fact that we are athletes. As musicians, we are athletes, and we need to make sure that we stay healthy. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please click subscribe and the little bell to turn on notifications. Most weeks I'm actually not just talking, I'm actually doing a ton of playing too and showing you all sorts of exercises for you to enjoy. Also, if you are really highly committed to improving your playing and or career, I would love to invite you to schedule a quick free call where we can actually talk about your goals and see if we can make sure that you're on the right path and see if working together would be a good fit so that we can actually make progress together as quickly and efficiently as possible. If interested, click the link in the description. It'll ask you to fill out just a quick form so I can gather some more information about you, and then we can get set up on a call. Awesome. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.